Imagine the universe as a giant library, shelves stretching endlessly in every direction, filled not with novels or cookbooks, but with dusty scrolls that claim to explain why everything exists. Somewhere in the corner, a scholar snores softly, his head resting on a parchment that insists reality is governed by laws older than pyramids, older than stars, older even than the idea of bedtime. These are the hidden laws of reality, the Hermetic Principles, and they are said to be the blueprint behind everything from the orbit of planets to the way your socks mysteriously vanish in the laundry. What if the universe isn't random at all? What if every coincidence, every rise and fall, every strange déjà vu moment is part of a pattern so ancient and so subtle that most of us miss it entirely? The Hermeticists believed that beneath the chaos of daily life lies a quiet order, a set of principles that hum along like background music, shaping everything while we barely notice. These laws are not loud. They don't announce themselves with thunder or fireworks. They whisper. They hide in the rhythm of seasons, in the balance of opposites, in the way thoughts seem to ripple outward and shape reality. They are the kind of truths that make philosophers nod sagely and ordinary people yawn, which is perfect, because this is a bedtime story. The journey ahead will take us through 20 chapters, each one peeling back a layer of mystery. We'll meet Hermes Trismegistus, the legendary sage who blended Egyptian and Greek wisdom. We'll wander through the origins of the Kybalion, the book that carried these teachings into modern times. And then, one by one, we'll explore the 7 principles themselves: mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. Each principle will be explained slowly, with examples that range from the rise and fall of civilizations to the way your morning coffee swirls like a galaxy. The hidden laws of reality are not meant to dazzle. They are meant to lull. They are the cosmic equivalent of a lullaby, steady and repetitive, reminding us that everything has order, everything has rhythm, everything has balance. The more you listen, the more you realize that the universe is not chaos, but choreography, a dance so ancient that even the stars have memorized the steps. So settle in. The scrolls are open, the candles are flickering, and the story is about to unfold. It will be long, it will be slow, and it will be just boring enough to carry you gently toward sleep, while still keeping you hooked. Because who doesn't want to know the secret laws of reality? Like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, preferably in a sleepy whisper, so the universe doesn't wake up. To understand the Hermetic Principles, we must first meet their mysterious messenger, Hermes Trismegistus. His name alone sounds like something you'd mutter when sneezing 3 times in a row. But behind it lies one of the most fascinating figures in ancient lore. Hermes Trismegistus was not a single person in the ordinary sense, but a legendary fusion of 2 great traditions, the Egyptian god Thoth and the Greek god Hermes. Thoth, in Egyptian belief, was the divine scribe, the keeper of wisdom, the one who invented writing and measured the heavens. He was often depicted with the head of an ibis, calmly recording the balance of the universe, while everyone else was busy building pyramids or worrying about the Nile floods. Hermes, in Greek tradition, was the swift messenger of the gods, patron of travelers, tricksters, and those who enjoyed clever words. Combine the two, and you get Hermes Trismegistus, Hermes the thrice great, a figure who embodied wisdom, communication, and cosmic truth. The title thrice great was not given lightly. Ancient writers claimed he was great in philosophy, great in medicine, and great in theology. In other words, he was the kind of person who could lecture you about the meaning of life, prescribe herbs for your headache, and then explain the secrets of the stars, all before lunch. His teachings were said to bridge the gap between human understanding and divine knowledge, offering insights into the hidden laws that govern reality. Over time, Hermes Trismegistus became the symbolic author of countless texts, many of which were gathered under the name Hermetica. These writings explored the nature of the soul, the structure of the cosmos, and the path to enlightenment. They were not meant to be thrilling page-turners, but meditative works, the kind of books you read slowly, preferably with a candle flickering nearby and a cat asleep on your lap. The figure of Hermes Trismegistus also carried a certain mystery. Was he a real person, a myth, or a symbol? Scholars debated endlessly, but the truth mattered less than the impact. His name became a vessel for wisdom, a way of saying that knowledge was timeless, flowing across cultures, preserved in silence, waiting for seekers who approached with reverence. In the sleepy rhythm of history, Hermes Trismegistus stands as a reminder that wisdom often wears many masks. He is Thoth, the Egyptian scribe, Hermes, the Greek messenger, and Trismegistus, the thrice great sage. His teachings echo across centuries, whispering that reality is not chaos but order, not accident but law. And so, as we drift deeper into the Hermetic story, we carry his presence with us, the quiet guide who points toward the hidden principles of the universe. Hermetic knowledge is the body of wisdom attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, the legendary sage who symbolized the union of Egyptian and Greek traditions. It is not a single book or doctrine, but a stream of teachings that flowed across centuries, shaping philosophy, mysticism, and even early science. At its heart, Hermetic knowledge is concerned with the hidden laws of reality, the principles that quietly govern the universe beneath the surface of everyday life. The writings known as the Hermetica explored themes such as the nature of the soul, the structure of the cosmos, and humanity's relationship to the divine. These texts were not meant to be thrilling adventures, but meditative works, guiding readers to reflect slowly on the order of existence. Later, in the early 20th century, a book called the Kybalion distilled these ideas into 7 clear principles, presenting them as universal laws that could be applied to both spiritual growth and practical living. Hermetic knowledge emphasizes that truth is universal and timeless. It teaches that everything is connected, that nothing happens by chance, and that by understanding these laws, we can align ourselves with the natural rhythm of the cosmos. This wisdom was often kept secret, passed only to initiates who were prepared to handle it responsibly, because it was believed that misuse of such knowledge could lead to imbalance or harm. Over time, Hermetic thought influenced alchemy, astrology, Renaissance philosophy, and even modern psychology. Its ideas about mind shaping reality, the correspondence between inner and outer worlds, and the cycles of rhythm and polarity continue to echo in contemporary discussions about consciousness and science. In simple terms, Hermetic knowledge is the study of how the universe works beneath the surface. It is the quiet reminder that reality is not chaos but law, not accident but pattern, wisdom preserved across ages, waiting for those who approach with patience and reverence. The story of Hermetic wisdom would not be complete without mentioning the Kybalion, a slim book published in 1908 that claimed to reveal the essence of the ancient teachings. Written under the mysterious name The Three Initiates, its true authorship has never been fully confirmed, adding to its aura of secrecy. Some believe it was penned by occultist William Walker Atkinson, while others suggest it was a collaborative effort meant to preserve anonymity and emphasize the timelessness of the message. The book distilled Hermetic thought into 7 clear principles, presenting them as universal laws that could be applied to both spiritual growth and everyday life. Unlike the sprawling Hermetica of antiquity, the Kybalion was concise, almost like a handbook for seekers. It explained mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender in simple terms, making them accessible to modern readers while still carrying the weight of ancient tradition. Its origins remain deliberately veiled by hiding the identities of the authors. The text suggested that the teachings were not about personalities, but about truth itself. The secrecy also echoed the ancient practice of guarding wisdom, reminding readers that these principles were not meant to be taken lightly. Over time, the Kybalion became a cornerstone of modern Hermetic philosophy, influencing mystics, spiritual teachers, and even those curious about the hidden laws of reality. Its quiet power lies not in dazzling revelations, but in its steady insistence that the universe is governed by order, rhythm, and balanced truths that whisper beneath the noise of daily life. In the sleepy rhythm of history, the Kybalion stands as a bridge between ancient scrolls and modern seekers, carrying forward the Hermetic principles in a form both mysterious and enduring. The first Hermetic principle is mentalism, and it sets the foundation for all the others. It declares that the all is mind, the universe is mental. In simple terms, everything begins with thought. Reality itself is imagined as a vast mental creation, a cosmic idea unfolding into stars, planets, and even the small details of daily life. The ancients believed that consciousness is not just something humans possess, but the very fabric of existence. The universe is like a grand thought, and we are participants inside it. Every invention, every work of art, every civilization began first as an idea before it became physical. Even the smallest things, a recipe, a building, or a bedtime story, start in the mind before they take shape in the world. This principle also suggests that our own thoughts ripple outward, shaping the reality we experience. Just as the universe itself is mental, so too are the patterns of our lives influenced by the way we think. A hopeful mind tends to create opportunities, while a fearful mind often sees obstacles. Mentalism reminds us that the mind is not passive, but creative, a force that molds experience. In the Hermetic tradition, mentalism is not about wishful thinking, but about recognizing the deep connection between thought and reality. It is the quiet law that whispers that everything begins in the unseen realm of ideas, and that by shaping our thoughts, we participate in shaping the universe itself. This principle is both empowering and humbling. Empowering because it suggests we have influence through our consciousness. Humbling because it reminds us that we are part of a much greater mental tapestry, the infinite mind of the cosmos. If the first Hermetic principle of mentalism, then this chapter takes us one step deeper. Consciousness itself is the source of reality. The ancients believed that everything we experience, from the movement of stars to the flow of rivers, begins in the unseen realm of awareness. Consciousness is not just something humans possess. It is the underlying fabric of existence. The cosmos itself is imagined as a vast field of awareness, and we are expressions of that field, like waves rising and falling on an endless ocean. This idea suggests that reality is not purely physical, but shaped by perception and thought. What we focus on tends to grow. What we believe often colors our experiences, and what we imagine can eventually take form. Consciousness acts like the projector, and the world we see is the film playing across its light. Philosophers and mystics across cultures echoed this truth. In Egypt, Thoth was seen as the divine scribe who recorded the order of the universe, implying that awareness itself was the architect. In Greece, thinkers like Plato spoke of the world of ideas as more real than the material world. Later traditions in mysticism and psychology carried forward the same theme. The mind is not a passive observer, but an active creator. To see consciousness as the source of reality is to recognize that we are not separate from the universe, but participants in its unfolding. Our thoughts, beliefs, and awareness ripple outward, shaping the patterns we live within. It is a principle that invites reflection, reminding us that the quiet power of the mind is not limited to daydreams, but woven into the very structure of existence. In the Hermetic tradition, this teaching is not meant to overwhelm, but to comfort. It whispers that reality is not random, that our awareness matters, and that by tending to the mind, we tend to the universe itself. The second Hermetic principle is correspondence, summed up in the famous phrase, as above, so below, as within, so without. It teaches that patterns repeat across different levels of reality, from the vastness of the cosmos to the smallest details of daily life. The ancients believed that the universe is built on harmony, with the same structures appearing in different scales. The movement of planets mirrors the rhythm of seasons. The flow of rivers reflects the flow of blood, and the order of the stars echoes the order of the mind. What happens in the heavens is reflected on earth, and what happens inside us is reflected in the world around us. This principle is not meant to be mystical alone, but practical. It suggests that by studying one level of reality, we can understand another. Observing the cycles of nature can teach us about the cycles of human life. Exploring the mind can reveal truths about the cosmos. It is the idea that everything is connected, woven together by repeating patterns. Correspondence also invites us to look inward. If the outer world feels chaotic, it may reflect inner imbalance. If we cultivate clarity and harmony within, we often see it mirrored in our surroundings. The principle whispers that the universe is not random but layered, each level echoing the others in quiet symmetry. In the Hermetic tradition, correspondence is a reminder that truth is everywhere, hidden in plain sight. The stars above, the thoughts within, the patterns of nature, all are reflections of the same cosmic order. To see one clearly is to glimpse them all. Building on the principle of correspondence, the Hermetic tradition teaches that sacred patterns repeat everywhere in the heavens, in nature, and within ourselves. The phrase, as above, so below, is not just poetic. It points to the idea that the same structures appear across different scales of existence. Look at the spiral of a galaxy, and you'll see the same curve in a seashell. Watch the rhythm of the seasons, and you'll notice the same cycle in human life: birth, growth, decline, renewal. Even the beat of your heart mirrors the pulse of the cosmos. These repeating forms are not coincidences but reflections of a deeper order, the sacred geometry that underlies reality. Ancient thinkers saw these patterns as proof that the universe is connected. The stars were not distant ornaments but guides, their movements echoing in earthly events. The body was not separate from the cosmos but a microcosm of it, carrying within its rhythms the same laws that govern the planets. Sacred patterns remind us that wisdom is hidden in plain sight. By observing nature, by studying the heavens, by reflecting inward, we can glimpse the same truths. The Hermetic tradition whispers that the universe is a tapestry woven with repeating designs, each thread connected to the whole. In this way, correspondence is not abstract but practical. It invites us to see harmony in the world around us, to recognize that the patterns of the cosmos are mirrored in our own lives, and to find comfort in knowing that everything from galaxies to grains of sand follows the same sacred order. The third Hermetic principle is vibration, and it tells us that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Even when something appears still, like a stone or a chair, at the microscopic level, its particles are buzzing with motion. The ancients believed that differences between matter, energy, and spirit were simply differences in vibration, each existing on its own frequency. This principle suggests that the universe is like a vast symphony, with every object, thought, and being humming along at its own pitch. The stars vibrate, the oceans vibrate. Even our thoughts carry subtle vibrations that ripple outward. It is the hidden rhythm that connects all things, reminding us that change and movement are constant. In practical terms, vibration explains why nothing is truly static. Emotions shift, seasons turn, civilizations rise and fall, all because vibration is woven into the fabric of reality. It also hints that by adjusting our own frequency through thought, intention, or awareness, we can influence the experiences we attract. The Hermetic tradition saw this principle as a bridge between the physical and the spiritual. Matter is vibration slowed down. Spirit is vibration sped up, and everything in between is part of the same continuum. To understand vibration is to recognize that life is motion and that harmony comes from tuning ourselves to the right rhythm. In its quiet way, the principle of vibration whispers that the universe is alive with movement, and that every heartbeat, every breath, every thought is part of the endless dance of energy. The Hermetic principle of vibration naturally leads us into the idea of frequency and energy, the subtle forces that shape reality. If everything vibrates, then everything carries a frequency, a unique rhythm or tone that defines its nature. Ancient thinkers imagined the universe as a vast field of energy, with every object, thought, and being humming at its own level. Matter is simply energy vibrating slowly, while spirit is energy vibrating at higher, finer levels. Between these extremes lies the entire spectrum of existence, from the solidity of rocks to the fluidity of emotions. Frequency explains why experiences feel different. Joy resonates at one level, fear at another. Music can lift the spirit because its vibrations harmonize with our own. Even thoughts are seen as waves of energy, rippling outward to influence the world around us. In this way, reality is not fixed but fluid, shaped by the interplay of countless vibrations. The Hermetic tradition suggests that by tuning ourselves through awareness, intention, or practice, we can shift our frequency and align with higher states of being. Just as a radio picks up different stations depending on its setting, our consciousness can tune in to different aspects of reality. This idea was echoed in later mystical traditions, where meditation, prayer, or even sound were used to raise vibration and connect with higher realms. In simple terms, this principle whispers that the universe is alive with energy, and that frequency is the language it speaks. Everything we see, feel, and experience is part of this great symphony, each vibration contributing to the endless song of existence. And just as a lullaby can soothe us into sleep, the vibrations of the cosmos carry us gently through the rhythms of life. The fourth Hermetic principle is polarity, and it teaches that everything has its opposite, yet those opposites are simply two extremes of the same thing. Hot and cold are not separate forces, but different degrees of temperature. Light and dark are variations of illumination. Even joy and sorrow are points along the same emotional scale, reminding us that opposites define one another. The ancients saw polarity as a way to understand balance. By recognizing that opposites are connected, we can see that extremes are never absolute. Cold is just less heat, darkness is less light, and silence is sound turned down to its quietest whisper. This principle reminds us that opposites are not enemies but partners, shaping meaning through contrast. In daily life, polarity explains why challenges often carry hidden opportunities, and why endings can also be beginnings. It teaches that transformation is possible because opposites are connected. What is negative can shift toward the positive. What is despair can move toward hope. Even the rise and fall of civilizations can be seen as polarity at work, with decline paving the way for renewal. The Hermetic tradition used this principle as a tool for mastery. By understanding polarity, seekers could learn to shift their state of mind, moving from fear to courage, from confusion to clarity. It is the quiet law that whispers that nothing is fixed, everything exists on a spectrum, and balance comes from recognizing the unity of opposites. In its gentle way, polarity reminds us that duality is not division, but harmony, and that the dance between extremes is what gives life its rhythm, depth, and meaning. The Hermetic principle of polarity unfolds into the everyday contrasts we experience: light and dark, positive and negative, joy and sorrow, beginnings and endings. These pairs are not separate forces locked in battle, but two ends of the same spectrum. Darkness is simply the absence of light, cold is the absence of heat, and negativity is the absence of positivity. By seeing them as connected, we begin to understand that opposites are not enemies, but partners in the dance of existence. Ancient thinkers taught that without darkness, light would have no meaning. Without sorrow, joy would lose its depth. The interplay of opposites creates harmony, reminding us that extremes are connected and that one cannot exist without the other. This principle encourages us to look beyond surface differences and recognize the unity hidden within duality. In daily life, this wisdom helps us approach challenges with perspective. A difficult moment may simply be the shadow that makes future brightness more vivid. Negative experiences can be transformed by shifting perspective, just as a dim room can be lit by a single candle. The Hermetic tradition taught that mastery comes from recognizing these dualities and learning to move along the scale, choosing balance rather than being trapped at one extreme. Polarity also explains transformation. Fear can shift into courage, despair into hope, and endings into beginnings. By understanding that opposites are linked, we gain the power to move ourselves toward the side of the spectrum we desire. This is not denial of difficulty, but recognition that change is always possible because opposites are connected. Light and dark, positive and negative. They are not enemies, but partners in the rhythm of life. Their contrast gives existence, depth, and meaning, whispering that every shadow carries the promise of light, and every difficulty holds the seed of renewal. In this way, the principle of polarity comforts us, reminding us that balance is always within reach, and that harmony is born from the unity of opposites. The fifth Hermetic principle is rhythm, and it teaches that everything in the universe moves in cycles. Just as the tides rise and fall, the seasons change, and the moon waxes and wanes, so too do our lives follow patterns of ebb and flow. Nothing stays fixed forever. Everything swings like a pendulum, moving between extremes and returning again. Ancient thinkers saw rhythm as the heartbeat of the cosmos. Day follows night, growth follows decline, and joy follows sorrow. Even civilizations rise, flourish, and eventually fade, only to give way to new beginnings. This principle reminds us that change is not chaos, but part of a larger order, a rhythm that keeps the universe alive and balanced. In daily life, rhythm explains why moods shift, why energy comes and goes, and why opportunities appear and disappear. It teaches patience, that difficult times will pass, just as seasons of winter give way to spring. It also teaches humility, that moments of success and joy are part of a cycle, not permanent states, and must be cherished while they last. The Hermetic tradition encouraged seekers to align themselves with rhythm rather than resist it. By recognizing cycles, we can prepare for change, flow with transitions, and avoid being caught off guard by life's natural swings. Rhythm is not meant to discourage, but to comfort, whispering that every decline carries the seed of renewal, and every ending is the beginning of another phase. In its gentle wisdom, rhythm reminds us that life is a dance of cycles. To live in harmony is to move with the beat of existence, trusting that the pendulum always swings back and that balance is restored through the eternal flow of time. The Hermetic principle of cause and effect can be seen most clearly in the grand story of civilizations. Throughout history, empires have risen to greatness, flourished with culture and power, and eventually declined, giving way to new societies. This rhythm of rise and fall is not random. It follows the laws of cause and effect, woven together with the principle of rhythm. Civilizations rise when conditions align. Strong leadership, fertile lands, trade routes, and shared vision. They flourish when knowledge, art, and science are nurtured, creating golden ages of progress. Yet decline often begins quietly through corruption, imbalance, or external pressures. Wars, economic collapse, or loss of values act as causes that bring about inevitable effects. The fall of Rome, the fading of Egypt's dynasties, and the collapse of the Mayan cities all echo this universal law. The Hermetic tradition teaches that these cycles are not punishments, but lessons. Just as individuals grow through challenges, civilizations evolve through their rises and declines. Each fall clears the way for renewal. Each ending plants seeds for a new beginning. The Renaissance bloomed after the Middle Ages. Modern nations rose after ancient empires, and future societies will emerge from today's struggles. For us, the lesson is humility and awareness. We are part of these cycles, shaped by causes we create and effects we inherit. By studying the past, we see that civilizations are not eternal but living organisms, subject to the same laws as everything else. Their rise and fall remind us that balance, wisdom, and foresight are essential if we wish to sustain what we build. In its gentle wisdom, this principle whispers that history is not chaos but patterned law. Civilizations rise, civilizations fall, and through it all, humanity continues its journey, learning, evolving, and preparing for the next chapter in the great rhythm of time. The sixth Hermetic principle is cause and effect, and it teaches that nothing in the universe happens by chance. Every event, every outcome, every moment is the result of a chain of causes stretching back into the past. What we often call luck or accident is simply the unfolding of causes we do not yet see. The ancients believed this principle revealed the hidden order of life. Just as seeds grow into plants and choices grow into outcomes, everything follows law. The fall of a leaf, the rise of a star, the success of a kingdom, all are effects born from causes. Chance, they said, is only a name for causes not yet understood. In daily life, this principle reminds us that our thoughts, words, and actions ripple outward, shaping the experiences we encounter. A kind gesture may lead to unexpected blessings, while careless choices may bring challenges. By recognizing cause and effect, we gain responsibility for our lives, understanding that what we sow, we eventually reap. The Hermetic tradition taught that mastery comes from becoming a conscious cause rather than a passive effect. Instead of being swept along by circumstances, seekers were encouraged to act with intention, planting seeds of thought and behavior that would grow into harmony and wisdom. This principle whispers that we are not powerless. We are participants in the unfolding of reality. Cause and effect is both humbling and empowering. It humbles us by showing that nothing escapes the law of consequences, yet it empowers us by reminding us that through awareness and choice, we can shape the future. In its gentle rhythm, this principle assures us that life is not chaos but law, and that every step we take is part of the great chain of creation. The Hermetic principle of cause and effect naturally extends into the idea of karma, the universal balance that ensures every action returns to its source. Karma is not punishment or reward in the human sense, but the natural unfolding of consequences. Just as seeds grow into plants, so do our choices grow into experiences. Every thought, word, and deed sets energy in motion, and that energy eventually circles back. Ancient traditions across cultures echoed this truth. In India, karma was seen as the law of moral causation, shaping the soul's journey across lifetimes. In Egypt, the goddess Mat represented balance and justice, weighing the heart against the feather of truth. In Greece, philosophers spoke of cosmic justice, where harmony was restored through the unfolding of natural law. Though the names differ, the essence is the same. The universe seeks balance, and karma is the mechanism by which that balance is maintained. In daily life, karma reminds us that nothing is random. Acts of kindness ripple outward, often returning in unexpected blessings. Acts of harm create disturbances that eventually find their way back to the source. This principle encourages mindfulness, urging us to live with awareness of the energy we release into the world. The Hermetic tradition taught that by aligning with universal balance, we can live in harmony with the laws of cause and effect. Instead of fearing karma, seekers were encouraged to embrace it as a teacher, guiding them toward wisdom, compassion, and responsibility. Karma whispers that the universe is just, not through human judgment, but through the quiet unfolding of law. In its gentle wisdom, this principle assures us that balance is always restored. The universe is not chaotic but ordered, and every action contributes to the great harmony of existence. Karma is the reminder that we are co-creators in this balance, shaping our destiny through the choices we make, and participating in the eternal rhythm of justice and renewal. The seventh Hermetic principle is gender, and it teaches that everything in the universe carries both masculine and feminine qualities. These are not limited to physical differences, but are deeper forces of creation and manifestation. Masculine energy is active, directive, and outward moving, while feminine energy is receptive, nurturing, and inward drawing. Together, they form the balance that makes life possible. The ancients saw gender as the secret of creation. In nature, seeds and soil, sun and moon, water and earth, all embody masculine and feminine aspects working together. In the mind, imagination, feminine and will masculine unite to bring ideas into reality. Without this union, nothing could be born, whether a child, a work of art, or a civilization. This principle reminds us that both energies exist within each person. The masculine side gives us strength, clarity, and action, while the feminine side offers intuition, compassion, and creativity. Harmony comes not from choosing one over the other, but from blending them, allowing both to guide us. When balanced, we become whole, able to manifest our visions with wisdom and care. In daily life, gender explains why creation requires both inspiration and effort. A dream must be nurtured with imagination, but it also needs action to take form. Relationships thrive when masculine and feminine energies complement each other, weaving together stability and tenderness. Even the universe itself is born from this interplay, with cosmic forces dancing in eternal balance. The Hermetic tradition taught that mastery of gender is mastery of creation. By honoring both sides within ourselves, we align with the universal law of manifestation. This principle whispers that life is not random but born from balance, and that every act of creation, from the smallest idea to the grandest star, arises from the union of masculine and feminine energies. The Hermetic principle of gender teaches that masculine and feminine energies exist everywhere, not only in human beings, but in the very fabric of the universe. These energies are not about physical gender alone. They are deeper forces of creation, balance, and manifestation. The masculine is active, directive, and outward moving, while the feminine is receptive, nurturing, and inward drawing. Together, they form the harmony that makes life possible. Ancient wisdom described the masculine as the spark and the feminine as the vessel. The masculine energy initiates, sets things in motion, and provides structure. The feminine energy receives, nurtures, and brings ideas into form. Without the masculine, nothing would begin. Without the feminine, nothing would be sustained. Their union is the secret of creation, whether in nature, art, or the unfolding of civilizations. In daily life, these energies flow within each of us. The masculine side gives us clarity, focus, and determination, while the feminine side offers intuition, compassion, and creativity. When balanced, They allow us to act with wisdom and to create with love. Too much masculine energy can lead to rigidity or aggression, while too much feminine energy can lead to passivity or indecision. Harmony arises when both are honored and allowed to work together. The Hermetic tradition taught that the blending of these energies is essential for manifestation. A dream must be nurtured with imagination, feminine, but it also needs action, masculine, to take form. Relationships thrive when both energies complement each other, weaving together strength and tenderness. Even the cosmos itself is born from this interplay, with stars and planets shaped by forces that mirror masculine and feminine qualities. In its gentle wisdom, this principle whispers that we are whole only when we embrace both sides within us. Masculine and feminine energies are not opposites to be divided, but partners to be united. Their dance is the rhythm of creation, reminding us that balance is the key to harmony, and that every act of manifestation arises from their eternal union. The Hermetic Principles, mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender were not always openly shared. For centuries, they were passed quietly from teacher to student, hidden in symbols, myths, and sacred texts. But why were such universal truths concealed? The ancients believed that wisdom carried great power, and power could be misused if placed in unprepared hands. Just as fire can warm or destroy, knowledge of the laws of the universe could uplift or corrupt. To protect both the seeker and the world, these teachings were veiled in allegory, accessible only to those who were ready to understand. Mystery schools in Egypt, Greece, and beyond guarded these principles carefully. They taught initiates through ritual, story, and symbol, ensuring that only those with discipline, humility, and sincerity could grasp their meaning. The laws were hidden not to deny humanity, but to preserve balance, preventing chaos that might arise if deep truths were twisted for selfish gain. Another reason for concealment was that truth often cannot be forced. Wisdom must be discovered, not imposed. By hiding the principles in plain sight within myths, architecture, and even nature itself, seekers were invited to awaken through curiosity and reflection. The journey of uncovering the laws was itself part of the lesson, teaching patience, perseverance, and reverence. Today, these principles are more accessible, yet their hidden nature still speaks to us. They remind us that wisdom is not about memorizing words, but living them. The laws were concealed so that only those who truly sought harmony, balance, and understanding would find them. In their gentle way, they whisper that the universe rewards sincerity, and that the deepest truths reveal themselves only when the heart is ready. As we reach the final chapter of this journey through the Hermetic Principles, it is time to gather the threads together and see the tapestry they weave. Each principle, mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender, is not a separate law, but part of a unified whole. Together, they form the architecture of reality, the hidden framework upon which the universe rests. To master these laws is not to control the cosmos in some grand, dramatic way. It is to live in harmony with them, to recognize their presence in every moment, and to align ourselves with their rhythm. The principle of mentalism reminds us that all begins in the mind. Our thoughts shape our reality. Correspondence whispers that patterns repeat across scales, from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy. Vibration teaches that everything moves, everything hums with energy. Polarity shows us that opposites are connected, and rhythm reveals the cycles that carry us forward. Cause and effect reminds us that nothing is random, and gender teaches that creation arises from balance. When we see these laws at work, life becomes less chaotic and more meaningful. Challenges are no longer punishments, but lessons. Success is not luck, but the flowering of seeds we have planted. Relationships, dreams, and even struggles are understood as part of a greater harmony. The Hermetic tradition tells us that mastery is not about escaping reality, but embracing it, living consciously within its laws. Imagine walking through life with this awareness. Each thought becomes a seed, each action a ripple, each moment a chance to align with the universal order. We begin to see ourselves not as separate from the cosmos, but as participants in its great dance. The laws are not distant abstractions. They are alive within us, guiding us toward balance, wisdom, and creation. And now, as this story draws to a close, let it settle gently in your mind, like the final notes of a lullaby. The universe is vast, yet it is also intimate, whispering its truths in the rhythm of your breath and the beating of your heart. You are part of this great harmony, a spark of consciousness moving within the eternal laws of reality. So rest now, knowing that the principles are always at work, carrying you through cycles of growth, balance, and renewal. Let the wisdom of the ancients be your quiet companion, reminding you that nothing is random, everything has meaning, and you are always held within the order of the cosmos. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the rhythm of life cradle you into peace. The story is complete, the journey is whole, and the universe hums softly around you. Good night.